How the Federal Reserve could trigger stock market madness. In today's cover story, food companies go on a brand cleanse. Plus, as Apple's new iPhone gets ready to go public, will there be enough to go around? And the countdown to Alibaba. Is it worth it to buy the mega IPO on day one? First Business starts now.
You're watching First Business. Financial news, analysis, and today's investment ideas.
Good morning. I'm Angela Miles. It's Wednesday, September 17th. In our first look, stocks fly ahead of the Fed. The blue chips soared 101 points. The Nasdaq 34 and the S&P 15 yesterday. Gold edged up $1. Oil added on $1.89. Fed Chair Janet Yellen will hold a news conference following today's FOMC rate decision. In after-hours action last night, Adobe shares plunged 4% on a revenue miss. Rackspace stock took a 16% dive as it calls off acquisition attempts. And the NFL's budding problem. The NFL's major sponsor, Anheuser-Busch, issued a statement that the beer giant is not satisfied with the league's response to recent incidents. Such an exciting day. We are turning to Larry Schober of SFG Alternatives to help us navigate the market. Good to see you, Larry.
Good morning.
So it's central bank city this week. We're going to be hearing from the ECB, but more importantly, that FOMC announcement is happening today.
Yeah, we have the Fed, and considerable time language is something everybody is talking about. Is it going to be dropped or not? But more importantly, behind that is actually, will Yellen bring out a grand exit strategy for all to view? Consensus, I think, will be a little bit underwhelmed because I don't think they're ready to do that.
Now, on Tuesday, everybody said that tech was falling because of the Alibaba effect. But in our tech check now, tech rallied yesterday. What do you make of these moves?
Yeah, I think the moves are the market in general, especially tech, hasn't done anything since August 25th, except for pockets of the market. And so I think people are just reevaluating their portfolios and buying them. And in my mind, a lot of technology seems to be more of a safe haven area than anything else. So it's really more of repositioning.
Larry, we've been talking about this Scotland vote that's coming up, but what's the trade there? Is there a currency play?
Well, it depends on what the outcome is. But, yeah, I mean, if the vote is yes and they have to work towards a referendum and Parliament, yeah, you'd be short the British pound. You'd also want to be short their money market rates, et cetera. Right now, when you look at the markets, especially yesterday, it's implying that it's going to be close, but it's going to be a no vote. But that would be the play.
Thank you, Larry.
You're welcome.
Chuck Coppola joins me now with what matters most from the Fed. Chuck.
Angie, traders are ready to react to what the Fed has to say today. It could be the first glimpse investors will get into how the Fed plans to execute the end of its bond buying program that's been stimulating the economy. The Fed has said once it's over, rates will stay low for a considerable time. Any change to that statement would be a driving force in today's session. The Fed's decision to hit the brakes on stimulus will largely depend on job growth. Fed Chair Janet Yellen has highlighted concerns about slow growth in the job market, and last month's labor data was particularly weak.
Alibaba is now just a day away from pricing in. The IPO is slated to trade on Friday on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol BABA. Julie Neiman, portfolio manager at Smithmore & Company, explains why she will be on the sidelines for Alibaba's big market debut.
First of all, when a lot of these large investors see this price of the stock, which has been moving up pretty steadily in terms of what the anticipated offering price will be, as soon as they get that, they're going to, in all likelihood, flip it out and sell it to the public at an even more inflated price. The volatility on the first day of trading for hot public issues is unbelievably huge. So you can see anywhere from double to triple the price within a single day.
Alibaba options are expected to trade Monday, September 29th at the Chicago Board Options Exchange.
Apple's retail stores are gearing up for a very busy day this Friday. New iPhone 6 models will be available starting at 8 a.m. After problems with the phones selling out during the pre-order phase, Apple's going to great lengths to ensure the phone's smooth delivery to the masses. In China, though, there's not even an official timeline of the phone's launch there. One report says the iPhone 6 won't be available until 2015. And U.S. banks are spending millions to persuade customers to use bank cards as default payment methods when setting up new Apple Pay accounts. Marketing execs from all the major banks met at Apple headquarters in Cupertino yesterday.
UPS is well aware of the thousands of customers it disappointed last Christmas and says it will double holiday hiring this year. Overwhelmed by package shipments coupled with tough winter weather, the delivery giant failed to drop off tens of thousands of packages in time for Christmas. To avoid a repeat, UPS says it is hiring 95,000 seasonal workers. UPS will also spend $1 billion on capital upgrades.
Walgreens is settling in the United States. The massive pharmacy chain took heat from customers over a proposed plan to move its domicile overseas after acquiring Swiss pharmacy Alliance Boots. Now, according to an SEC filing, a new holding corporation called Walgreens Boots Alliance will be based in Delaware. Walgreens will maintain corporate and operational headquarters in Deerfield, Illinois. Alliance Boots will keep its headquarters in the UK.
In yet another sign of struggle, Sears is taking out a loan from its own CEO. Billionaire Eddie Lampert is loaning the retailer $400 million in order to get through the crucial Christmas shopping season. The loan is coming from the hedge fund Lampert formerly ran, ESL Investments. Sears lost about $1 billion in the first 2 quarters. Shares are down roughly 20% this year.
In today's cover story, General Mills earnings for its first quarter that began June 1st are out this morning. And even before the markets opened, there was concern that the $18 billion a year cereal company has been late on such trends as Greek yogurt, and that its announced acquisition of Annie's homegrown products is General Mills' way of buying its way into healthier profits. General Mills, the global cereal company built on owning Saturday mornings, was expected by analysts at FactSet to produce earnings of 69 cents a share, down a penny from last year with sales flat, same as last year. Why? In part because shoppers' habits have changed. They're spending more time in the produce aisles first.
There's been a focus on, the perimeter of the store, the produce, the fresh type offerings. And so sometimes if consumers are on a limited budget, by the time they get to the center of the store, they're through that budget and there isn't as many dollars to spend.
Organic food sales have been growing at 12% each year for the past decade. That's better than packaged foods in general. Buying Annie's line of natural products will help, but not radically improve General Mills' bottom line. That's according to Lash.
They're an $18 billion company in terms of sales, and Annie's is less than 1% of that. So it's not going to move the needle on their overall results. I think it just showcases the lengths that they're willing to go to kind of reignite some of that muted top-line growth that they've been realizing.
And some consumers express concern that the smaller company, Swallowed Up, will produce a compromised product.
I definitely can tell the difference, the taste of a product and even the nutritional value, like health-wise.
So why do it if it's too small to really improve things and leave loyal consumers wary? It's part of a trend realized by the Healthy Weight Commitment Foundation.
Those companies selling more better-for-you products, lower-calorie products, were performing better financially in terms of their sales increases and their operating profit increases.
Morningstar characterizes General Mills stock as fairly valued.
McDonald's tops a list of headlines coming out of Russia. Regulators in Russia have added penalties on top of temporary closures of McDonald's restaurants. The chain is accused of improper sanitation, possibly in retaliation for sanctions coming from the U.S. and Europe. Those sanctions are having an impact on the Russian economy. Yesterday, Russia's currency, the ruble, traded to a new historic low against the dollar.
Boeing and SpaceX are the winners of a coveted contract. The two companies have been chosen by NASA to develop commercial spaceships. The contract is worth $6.8 billion. Meantime, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos is reported to be launching a new venture with Boeing and Lockheed Martin. Bezos is developing a new rocket engine, according to sources, although Boeing and Lockheed have no comment.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is on the hot seat on the Hill after failing to promptly recognize GM's safety issues. Senate hearings yesterday criticized regulators and GM for failing to take quick action on the faulty ignition switches linked to 19 deaths.
It goes without saying that GM made and sold the vehicles in which so many innocent victims were killed or injured. But I am gravely disappointed in the Transportation Department's failure to accept even a shred of responsibility.
A NHTSA official blames GM for hiding the defect. GM says the company is focused on ensuring the situation does not happen again.
Lawmakers could be getting ready to derail funding for Amtrak. The House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee meets today to decide on a proposal to cut construction funding for Amtrak by 40%. The bill proposes a slight increase in spending for current train operations and would force Amtrak to invest more in its most profitable routes in the Northeast. The proposal has bipartisan support.
Carl Icahn certainly seems to be in the driver's seat at Hertz. In a move to placate the activist investor, Hertz will add 3 seats to its board. The candidates will be nominated by Icahn, and the deal will avert a proxy battle. Icahn owns an 8.5% stake in Hertz, making him the car rental company's largest shareholder. Hertz chairman and CEO Mark Vasora recently resigned. Hertz stock closed up 9 cents yesterday at $27.60.
A tough lesson for Corinthian colleges. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is suing the for-profit school following tighter rules set by the Obama administration. The CFPB accuses Corinthian of predatory lending. The agency says the school paid employers to offer temp jobs to grads, charged students up to $75,000 for a bachelor's degree, and pushed them into private loans with 15% interest. 60% of students defaulted on loans within 3 years. The stock trades at a dime. A Corinthian spokesman says asking students to make payments while in school helps them, quote, develop the discipline and practice of repaying their federal and other loan obligations.
Checking the economic calendar for today, it's the MBA Mortgage Index, CPI. That is a consumer inflation number. The NAHB Housing Market Index, crude inventories, and that FOMC rate decision. On the earnings docket, Pier 1 Imports, Cracker Barrel, Scholastic, General Mills, and FedEx. Still to come, the drug companies willing to take a financial risk to cure Alzheimer's. Plus, changes to alimony stir up a new divorce debate, and why the Donald may be willing to take a gamble on a casino town that's suffering. We'll be right back.
Donald Trump is betting Atlantic City can make a comeback. The real estate mogul tweeted that he may buy back in at much lower price. Trump sold his stake in Trump Plaza and Trump Taj Mahal casinos years ago. Since then, Atlantic City has faced more competition from neighboring states. Trump Plaza closed this week, making it Atlantic City's 4th casino to shut down this year.
Now on to love, marriage, and money. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie recently signed a bill into law that drastically changes alimony. Gemma Allen of Ladin and Allen Family Law is on set with us this morning to explain, and this has to do with limiting the amount a spouse has to pay.
It has to do with predictability of alimony across the country. It's sweeping the country, it's alimony reform, but my view on it is it's also a public policy. What do we want our families, our women, and our husbands to be doing?
So what happens here? If you're married so long, it limits the amount the spouse has to pay?
First of all, it's a two-parter. In Illinois, we just did a sweeping reform as well. And so the duration is set based on the duration of the marriage multiplied by a certain factor. So 0 to 5 years, your factor is 20% is duration. Okay, so that's 1 year if you've been married 5 years. If you go up to 20 years of marriage, then we go into perhaps it could be equal to the length of the marriage or even permanent alimony. It's a durational umbrella, shall we say, and it's closing down options and discretion of the court.
As it tends to happen with these breakups, there is usually a winner and a loser. So who would be the loser in this case?
I think the loser nowadays is going to be anybody who doesn't have his or her own career and earning ability. I think that's the message. And it's a public policy message that we all better hear. Everybody has to have their own, because I don't think a spouse is going to necessarily have to take care of you no matter what the decision of the marriage was about you being a stay-at-home parent. If in fact you break up within these time frames, the courts, if your income is under $250,000, the court's going to lose some of its discretion. You're going to be capped as to time and capped as to amount of support you're going to get. Let's face it, it's the new reality.
Well, and on those words of warning coming from Gemma Allen, thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up, Bill Mahler gives a new meaning to the term crime family. Plus, a little white lie costs a Walmart executive his job. A Walmart executive is caught in a resume lie. David Tover, Walmart's VP of Corporate Communications, is leaving the company after a background check uncovered that he never finished his college degree. The executive, who was up for promotion, says he learned after getting a job he was just a few credits short. He says he's leaving on good terms, and Walmart has been very supportive. Bill Mahler joins us now with a disturbing trend happening in American families.
There is a quiet crisis going on in many families. Financial crimes are being committed against the elderly, often by family members themselves who happen to have powers of attorney and therefore unrestricted access to mom's or granddad's accounts. Tiffany Couch is seeing more and more of this happening. She runs Acuity Forensics, which helps solve complex financial problems for families. All right, Tiffany, how about some examples of financial abuse and fraud against the elderly that you've seen?
I've seen siblings take money from mom and dad, all the way to caretakers who've been hired by the family take money from elderly folks.
When we were talking earlier, I know you had one example of a woman who had, what was it, $500,000 wiped out of her account?
Yes, she had saved all of her money. She literally was living on Spam and mac and cheese and saving, literally pinching her pennies. She went to pay her rent check. It bounced. She told the folks, hey, I've got $500,000 in the bank. I've saved all of my money. And when the police and I took a look at it, her son, who had power of attorney, had taken all of the money and literally wiped her out.
Now, is it that the elderly are vulnerable because they often would rather give away their financial dealings to other members of the family because it's kind of complicated to them?
It can be very complicated, and having somebody else take care of that is sort of a big weight off their shoulders, and they can be very trusting and not think that anybody would do something like this to them, and not to mention the fact that many of them have been very frugal and pinched their own pennies, and so they've amassed some wealth. And that's a very big opportunity for somebody who's got complete control.
Yeah. All right, Tiffany, why don't you tick off 2 or 3 things that older folks maybe should do before they give all their authority away to other people in the family?
I think the best control is if we're going to give somebody power of attorney, that we then have a second person, maybe another sibling, an outside accountant, who's receiving the bank statements and canceled checks so that there's some oversight over those financial matters every single month. So if something illicit does happen, we can catch it early.
All right, good point. Tiffany Couch with Acuity Forensics. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. 2 major drug companies are working on an Alzheimer's drug that may be worth $5 billion in sales. AstraZeneca and Eli Lilly are in that joint venture. The experimental treatment, however, is considered extremely risky with just a 9% chance of success. The drug should inhibit protein fragments often found in the brains of people with dementia. Merck also has a treatment in development. There's no cure for Alzheimer's. It's called one of the biggest challenges in medical science. Still ahead, it's back to the stock market and why one trader sees clear skies for Boeing. Baltimus Capital lands on our show now to talk about Boeing, and Boeing just won a big contract from NASA. Is that a reason to buy this stock, Chris?
I believe that's a huge reason, and I believe a lot of traders knew that. We saw a lot of call action yesterday going into this news, and a lot of traders believe that we're going to peak above that 135 level. So right here at 125, 127, you can see it go a lot higher in the trading session today.
Well, the high of the year was $144. Does that come up anytime soon?
I believe with the momentum carried through, and especially with the volume spiking after hours yesterday, that the Boeing could see 144 before the end of the third quarter.
What headwinds are out there for Boeing?
There's a lot of headwinds with Boeing, especially the stronger dollar right now. The stronger dollar has seen to creep its way into the trading markets. But as you could see by yesterday's trading, a lot of traders are shrugging that off, and strong contracts for Boeing is something that a lot of these traders see it going to 150, 155 handle by the end of the year.
So you see this as a buy and hold?
I see it as a buy and hold. I've been buying Boeing since about 82, and we are maintain at least half of our position. We took off about 130, and it had a nice pullback. I believe right now is an excellent buying opportunity. Definitely a dip. It did hold that 125 level as a key support, and so moving forward, I believe 125 to 120 is the stop, but I would see to at least take $10 out of it starting tomorrow.
Good to know. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
That's the end of the line for us today. Coming up tomorrow in Movies and Money, our critic reveals the film that continues to impress with big numbers at the box office. Thanks so much for watching today. From all of us at First Business, have a wonderful Wednesday.